Right, so my name's Ben Marver and I run the philosophy group, but I'm also responsible for a thing that you will find when you log on to StudyNet and find your list of modules. You'll find an extra one, and I just want to now take a few minutes to tell you what that's about. Right? So, all universities recognise that there is a kick-up in skill level required between A-level and university study. Right? There are all the things that you're already doing, reading and writing and thinking and discussing, you've got to get better at. Right? And all universities recognise this, and all universities pretty much lay on some kind of skills sessions or coaching and training in academic skills. And we've all been doing that for decades. And it doesn't quite work, right? There's an interesting question why skills sessions by themselves don't quite work. They don't, we know this, right? So, we've got to try and do something a little more ambitious, right? It's not just about skills, it's about attitudes and values and self-awareness, and above all, a conversation about what university study is all about and what it's for and what its aims are. So we've created a module that you'll all do over the course of your first year, and I want to give you a little overview of it. So, I want to start by telling a little story. Earlier this year, I went to a meeting of this body, the Arts and Research Council, which pointedly, the Arts and Research Council hands out millions of pounds for researchers to do research in this area. So it's public money, it's quite serious, the decisions about how to spend it. And I went to a meeting where we were all busy discussing how to spend this enormous wedge of public money. And what did we do? Well, amongst other things, we built pipe cleaner models, right? We had tables and all sorts of things to play with, paper and pens and pipe cleaners. People built little models to indicate metaphors for what they thought that research in this area was all about and how it ought to go, right? And it's, it feels a bit kind of odd and all that sort of stuff. But you have to do that kind of thing to loosen up the brain and get the ideas flowing. That sometimes you have to do things that feel a bit silly in order to think and act creatively. Now, I don't have pictures of our particular models, they weren't that impressive. So here's a picture of important middle-aged people in suits playing with Lego. Right? The Lego Corporation, we don't have any Lego, I'm afraid. Maybe next year we'll introduce Lego. The Lego Corporation has a management consultancy sideline where, for a fee, they will come and guide your senior people in suits through thinking exercises. And the point is, you can't build a marketing strategy out of Lego, so you have to think of a metaphor and build that. Right, that's the joy of it. Right now, the reason I'm showing you this is to illustrate thesis one. Right, the first thing I want to tell you is that social play is the best context for learning. Your brain works best when it's in a playful mood and you're doing it with other people. Right? So that's thesis one. So here's, and the product is called Serious Lego. Right. Okay. Now, I've gone to some psychologists to find out what is play. Well, it's an adverb. You do things playfully, right? It's the adverbial sense of play. So what's play like? Well, it's self-chosen, self-directed. It's not something isn't difficultly playful with some required task. It's an activity where means are more valued than ends, right? So you're more interested in what you're doing than in what the outcome will be. Just get absolutely absorbed in making that pipe cleaner model, right? It has structure or rules, but they're not dictated by physical necessity, but emanate from the minds of the players. So there will be rules, but they will kind of, you'll basically watch kids playing and they'll make up rules as they go along, as the activity requires it. And it's imaginative, it's non-literal, it's mentally removed in some way from real or serious life. There's some kind of, imaginative side to it. And it involves an active, alert, but non-stressed frame of mind, right? So, and this is a matter of degree, right? You can have all this to a greater or lesser degree, and you can do it with any activity you like. So somebody might say, I was playing around yesterday with the sales figures, trying out different statistical models, and I noticed, right? You can be running tests on sales figures. That doesn't sound like fun, but you can do it playfully, right? Now, let's have a think about university. Much of student life can be unplayful and unsolitary, right? So here's a picture of the condition you don't want to be in, right? Yeah? You don't want to be wearing those trousers you're wearing. But above all, you don't want to be in that kind of mental state. So I have to write this essay, it's a task imposed from the outside. So that's not very playful. I must get a good degree. So you can get fixed on the end and forget about the means. I must not write I. People tell you stupid rules that make no sense. Right? This particular bugbear of mine, you don't make an argument any better by ruining the grammar with which you express it. And this essay will argue on its own. No, I don't think so. I will argue. Right? People write these stupid rules. I must be objective. So you had this idea, well, I have to think about the facts, I have to try and say something new and true and history, but above all true and objective. So that doesn't sound like it's going to be an exercise in fantasy and imagination, right? If you're not careful, either you remember what the playful state is? The playful state is you are alert but non-stressed. Right? If you're not careful at university, if you don't take care of these things and think about what you're doing, you can either be falling into a catatonic trance in a lecture, or on the brink of an exam so stressed you can't think, right? So if you're not careful, if you don't think about it and try and manage yourselves, student life can become unplayful, and that's not when your brain is at its best. You want your brain to be at its best. You want to be in this condition, right? When you're doing academic work, you want to be in this condition, being completely absorbed in what you're doing, and for preference doing it with somebody else, right? And the thing is, those fat middle-aged people in suits playing with Lego would have been in pretty much the same mental state as these two, right? Just absorbed in the task. None of these people were, you ask these children, all the men in suits on the first line, what time it is, they wouldn't be able to tell you, right? Right, so thesis 3, remember thesis 1, your brain works best when it's in social play. Thesis 2, if you're not careful, university life can be unplayful and therefore bad for your brain. Thesis 3, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? You can make social play part of your intellectual style. So, first aim, this is academic, engaging with the humanities is the name of this module, right? So the first aim is to try and remove some of the inhibitors of social play. So we've designed it. First of all, it's pass-fail, right? There's no grades beyond either you pass it or you fail it. It's something we got from the law school. They have a module called legal skills, and either you pass it or you'll fail it, right? If you fail it, you're not going to be a lawyer, right? So it's pass-fail, so there's supposed to be less stress, unless you're one of these people who's addicted to getting top grades, right? And there are students who find this condition really uncomfortable. But I know, I live on high grades, right? You want to address that if you want to those. It has no subject matter, right? In the sense that it doesn't have stuff that you have to remember, right? When university gets reduced to remembering stuff, I mean, of course, in your subjects, there is stuff you need to know. But you don't want to let university life get reduced to memorizing stuff, right? So to try and create a module where memorizing stuff doesn't happen at all, which means you can do all the other stuff, all the interesting, unique, playful engagement and so on. It has no subject experts, right? Because one of the things that inhibits social play is the presence in the seminar room of somebody who's published several books on the thing that you're supposed to be discussing, right? Now, there are good reasons why your other modules are all taught by experts, right? If you're know about the origins of the English Civil War, you would help have an expert. But here, this module, we're supposed to be exploring the possibility of social play, making it more likely. The tutors that lead it, of course, are very good at what they do, right? They have the academic skills in abundance. And there are no lectures, right? It's all seminars, it's all activity. And it's mostly made up of group activities, right? So for the first 6 weeks of semester A, we have a series of group activities. First 6 weeks of semester B, we have a series of group activities. So the idea is there should be a little corner of the curriculum where the things that inhibit social play are taken away, so you can think about it and get good at it, make it part of your natural style, and then the habit of social play can then flow back into your regular modules and the things you're going to do. Right, so stop your great addiction for a Lego habit. That's the slogan. Okay, so the second aim, there aren't very many aims, don't worry. The second aim is to think about what it means to be a humanities scholar. I didn't think about putting up lots of pictures of present-day humanities scholars, but they were all just pictures of middle-aged and elderly in suits, right? So here's Erasmus. So he's one of the first humanities scholars of the modern period. He's probably not a model for us, right? What we can't do is just say, well, Erasmus was a great scholar in the humanities, let's just try and be him. Because he lived at a different time and a different place. The third aim of engaging with humanities is to think about, by the way, I can't tell you anything about this because that would violate the first rule that the module has no content, right? So what I couldn't do is say, well, what it means to be a humanities scholar is, right? Just give you some time to think about it. Similarly, here we are in Hatfield. Here's a picture of Hatfield, right? Lovely, isn't it? Now, we are lucky to be in Hatfield because it allows me to make this point that everywhere where there are people or where there have been people, there are stories. There is culture, there is something of interest to scholars in the humanities. This is obvious if you're in, say, York, because there's York Minster and there's the Viking Museum, and it's the idea that every human settlement has history and stories and something to say. It's kind of obvious. Hatfield, it's less obvious, but it's true. Here are some other pictures of Hatfield. Some of Hatfield looks like this, right? Hatfield has actually been here for a long time. It has a long, interesting history because it had been the seat of an important aristocratic family. It's been involved in national politics at certain important junctures. Even to this day, there was an important meeting earlier this year of Northern Irish politicians, secret meeting, right? And also, as you may know, it was massively important in aircraft production during the war. This at one point was the fastest thing in the sky, right? It's an absolute stroke of genius. Rather than build an enormous bomber that's heavily armed and has gunners left and right, you just build something out of balsa wood with two of the biggest engines you can find, and you whistle over, you drop the bombs, and you're gone before the fighters can scramble, right? Until the jet engines came in, it was the fastest plane. And it was built here. So there's a whole history. In fact, the University of Mayo started as technical college to support avionics. So Hatfield has this more recent history as well. And the fourth aim, the last aim, you're glad to know, right? So probably 3 aims too many, but the fourth aim is skill identification. So some of the sessions you will do will be about identifying and reflecting on the academic skills you need to improve. Now, improving a skill requires repetition with correction, right? So you can't get a skill in one session, right? So the aim of these sessions is not to make you skilled in editing, in this case, or in argument construction, or whatever it is, but simply as a matter of consciousness raising to get you thinking about, well, all right, I need to build up this skill a bit. What do I do? Where do I go? And that is your lot from me. Thank you very much for your time.